Now at 11, visitors gather around Mount St Helens to look back on that deadly eruption.
Grateful I wasn't closer, and sad for those who were.
Plus, one of the first people on the ground shares his story of survival after the volcano erupted a second time.
And it just seemed like angels coming out of the sky when we saw those Huey helicopters.
And later, why an Oregon nonprofit is wanting to take the Trump administration to court.
All of our work is partner work, and everybody we work with is also getting hit.
Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Art Edwards. It has now been 45 years to the day since Mount St Helens saw a massive eruption that rocked the Pacific Northwest. Celine Stevens went to Toutle, Washington to learn more about the historic impact and how the landscape has changed since.
It's a cloudy and rainy day here at the Science and Learning Center at Coldwater. Behind me through the clouds is Mount St Helens, which erupted back on May 18th, 1980. 45 years later, I spoke with people who were out here enjoying what's now a peaceful view, but were able to recount what a historic and catastrophic day that was.
Oh, it was desolate. It was ugly gray desert. It was terrible. It was dead.
If you look out toward Mount St Helens in recent times, it looks anything but dead.
It's coming back. It's all turning green, and it's amazing what 20 years difference made.
The eruption of Mount St Helens back in 1980 led to the death of 57 people, making it the deadliest volcanic eruption in U.S. history.
So we are standing in the blast zone right now, and this was completely wiped out. It took out an area of 230 square miles, roughly the area the size of Chicago, in 3 minutes.
It killed thousands of animals and destroyed the environment, with the damage amounting to over $1 billion. It
was one of the most well-documented volcanic eruptions.
Many still remember the day and went up to the Science and Learning Center at Coldwater for the 45th anniversary.
I went to the window and looked out, and I went, holy crap. Not exactly what I said, but big plume, 20,000 feet or so, and by then, I guess.
I actually lived in Longview when it erupted and got a lot of pictures over the trees of the big cloud. And so this is just kind of reminiscing for me.
Even those who weren't in the area when the volcano blew also stopped by Sunday, knowing the historical significance of Mount St. Helens.
It's very important to actually know what's going on in your environment around you, especially considering we're in the Pacific Rim of Fire here. There's 5 active volcanoes here in Washington State.
This Science and Learning Center at Coldwater, about 7 miles away from the volcano itself. Anna Coburn, lead park ranger at Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument, explains the impact of the volcano's eruption beyond the destruction.
It shaped the way we think of disaster response around volcanoes and preparedness. It shaped the way we think of ecology and how fast things can come back.
While the 45th anniversary brought less than an ideal view of the mountain, the center still offered learning experiences for visitors, including exhibits, a gift shop, and a film. While it's still active, Coburn says people shouldn't be too alarmed, but still, never forget its power.
It's still a very serious thing. It's still a very frightening thing to have in your backyard, so it's always good to be a little scared of this thing.
Now, May is also Volcano Awareness Month, so if you'd like to come out and enjoy the landscape or just learn more about this volcano, this center is now open on weekends from 10 to 4 and will be open 7 days a week for the summer by mid-June. In Toutle, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Our Seattle news partners heard from a Washington man who says he was right beneath the volcano when it erupted a second time. Michael Lenow was part of the first film crew to document the aftermath of the eruption on the ground. He told Brady Wakayama what was supposed to be an hours-long shoot changed to a days-long journey of survival.
My experience at Mount St. Helens was literally unforgettable.
It's been 45 years since Mount St. Helens erupted. But for 65-year-old Michael Lenow, it's a time that will always stick with him.
Here's some of the photos of our journey. I can smell and taste it just like it was yesterday. I guess I've lived it so many times since then and been able to share it. But it's a stark reminder, of how quickly things can change.
Lenow was 20 years old when the volcano first erupted. Just days after, he and 4 others were tasked by a Seattle film production company to capture the aftermath from the ground. But they never expected what would happen next.
The heavy magnetism in the ash caused our compass to spin around in circles. So we got disoriented, got lost. We eventually had to spend the night, and that night, Mount St. Helens erupted.
He says heavy ash started falling on them and eventually turned into rain. And with large trees toppled over from the first eruption, they were trapped in the dangerous elements.
It was extremely difficult to climb up and over those trees, and there was layers of ash on it. And then when it rained, it was this hot, mucky stuff that just stuck to your boots and everything. And it became a living nightmare for us.
The nightmare continued for 4 days. They were suffering from hypothermia, starvation, and dehydration, losing hope rapidly, until rescue crews spotted them.
They were surprised to find us, and we were surprised that they found us. It was a great relief, and it just seemed like angels coming out of the sky when we saw those Huey helicopters.
Lee now takes a lot of lessons from his experience, but admits,
I don't think I would do it again, but I'm glad that I had the experience and that it worked out the way that it did for us.
Over on KGW Plus, you can watch our Vault special, relive the lead-up, eruption, and aftermath with rare KGW archive footage. You can find our free streaming app on Roku, Fire TV, and also Apple TV. You know what? We saw one of the wettest weekends of the year. It was a lot of rain yesterday, and today brought a few lighter showers, but another round of wet weather is just hours away. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here to let us know just how much rain we're going to see tomorrow.
Hey, there yeah, we'd be looking at maybe 1/3 of an inch of rain by the end of your morning commute. There's a window of basically 3-4 hours where we'll be seeing some heavy downpours at times. So here's a peek at the Monday day planner. We're starting off with some morning showers, not only morning showers, but heavy at times. A few showers kind of linger around into the noon hour, but by late afternoon, early part of the evening, we'll be looking at a little more of that sunshine with temperatures topping out in the mid to the upper 60s. A live look now in downtown Portland from our Pioneer Park building camera. We're looking at a reading of 53 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Winds coming in from the south about 5 miles an hour, so very light wind out there. And we'll zoom out a little bit. This is what's coming our way here in just the next few hours. Right around 5 a.m. is when I'm expecting to see those showers really moving into the metro area and up and down the I-5 corridor. So as we bring in the future cast, here we are about 6:30. This model is kind of backing off in the timing right now, but still, it will be a wet start for a lot of us, picking up some yellows and some oranges, a little bit of some red along the South Washington coast. And then we go into the later part of the morning. We were pretty much done with the heavy downpours by 10:30 or so, and then go into the afternoon. A few spotty showers here and there but for the most part, it's going to be more dry than wet. There will be more showers continuing heading into Tuesday, but I have a bit of a warm-up heading into the long-range forecast. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Joe. We have tragic news tonight from a Portland school. Hosford Middle School announced yesterday that one of its 6th graders died Friday after what appears to be an accidental shooting. The school says it has been in contact with the family of Ilios Renteria, who allowed the school to share this information. In a statement, Principal Jill Little said, "We all remember Ilios as a sweet, fun-loving, and wonderful kid who brightened the lives of everyone who knew him." On Monday, trauma intervention workers are going to be available at the school for staff and also students. A juvenile is dead and an 18-year-old is in jail after a rollover crash on Sauvie Island. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office was called after about 12:30 this morning to home off Northwest Gilhan Road and Lily Lane. The Sheriff's Office says the crash involved a side-by-side UTV on private property. The juvenile girl was pronounced dead at the scene. The UTV driver, Aiden Hurd, was first checked out at the hospital and then booked on a manslaughter charge. The investigation is ongoing. We have an update to a deadly hit-and-run incident late last year in Woodburn. Police say that they have arrested the suspected driver, 58-year-old Kenneth Kolarski. He works at Silverton Hospital. He had an outstanding warrant for felony hit-and-run after allegedly hitting and killing Nicholas Hernandez Mendoza the day after Christmas. He is being held at the Marion County Jail. New tonight, Portland Police provided an update on its efforts to combat sex trafficking along Northeast 82nd and Northeast Sandy. The Bureau says that over the last 3 months, officers arrested or cited 30 people for commercial sexual solicitation or unlawful prostitution procurement activities. The ages range from 18 to 71. Some also face weapons and drug charges. During that time, they towed 6 vehicles, gathered info on suspected traffickers and trafficking organizations. An Oregon nonprofit is suing the federal government, demanding that it reinstate grant funding. Oregon Humanities and the Federation of State Humanities Councils filed the suit Thursday against DOJ and the National Endowment for the Humanities, also known as the NEH. It was Congress that created the NEH, which has partnered with state and local humanity councils for decades. Last month, NEH leaders informed state humanities groups by email that it was pulling funding in its efforts to trim the government. Oregon Humanities now seeks an injunction to hold the NEH accountable for its side of their longstanding partnership.
I think the lawsuit is principally about the fact that the executive has overstepped and tried to undo what Congress is obligated to do and has chosen to do for over 50 years.
The nonprofit says the termination of grant funding for state and local humanities councils immediately affected its services. About 45% of its budget was funded by the federal government. Earlier this month, it laid off 2 employees and switched everyone else to part-time. It also cut grant and fellowship funds, which it often redistributes to rural areas, especially Eastern Oregon.
So this is a very small amount of funding from the perspective of the federal government, but when you think about Klamath Falls or Burns or LeGrand, $3,000 grant here, $5,000 there, that's what helps knit the community together, and that's what just got pulled.
Davis said the reasons for the funding cuts still have not been made clear. Oregon Humanities is currently seeking additional emergency funding from the community to continue to help with its services. Check out this cliffside rescue that was done by the U.S. Coast Guard on Saturday night. A helicopter crew from Air Station North Bend hoisted up 2 women who got stuck while they were hiking near God's Thumb in Lincoln City. They were rescued safe and unharmed. And check this out. It is that time of the year to put away your car and break out the bike or the skates. Portland's Sunday Parkways returned to the southwest part of town today. This time there were 2 paths between Gabriel Park and Spring Garden Park, one strictly for walkers and another one for everyone else. There were also 5 featured stops that included vendor marketplaces, family-friendly activities, and live entertainment. We asked one of the performers for his thoughts on the event.
All these families are out here with all the kids. This is a great experience. And the other good thing is, look at people are getting exercise. They're riding their bikes, they're walking. This is the kind of thing that makes Portland the city it is.
The next scheduled event is for late in June in Northeast Cully.